Hi, hello everyone. My name is Michael from the University of Applied Sciences Upper Austria, and in the next couple of minutes I will present a paper that I wrote with Argenis Ramirez from the University of Portsmouth, where we examined different gaze-based cue visualization techniques in a virtual reality exploration game. So what motivated us to have a closer look at cues in games? Cues are an essential design element in games. They inform players if a door can be opened, where to go next in a level, or where an enemy's weak spot is located. The use of cues is especially relevant in virtual reality games, which offer more natural and diverse interaction and presentation forms than console or PC video games. In this context, we deemed that gaze could be a valuable addition to providing cues to players. A benefit of using gaze is that cues could be triggered without any explicit input, such as pressing a button or move the controller's pointer to a specific location. Naturally, players view a scene to orientate themselves and scan for objects and areas relevant to the games and their own goals. Besides, cues could be presented at predefined areas by knowing where the current gaze position is located. In contrast to other fields of applications, games are designed to provide some form of challenge that the player needs to overcome. This aspect is also reflected in the cue design. On the one hand, they should support the player to find a solution to a given problem, while on the other hand, only indicate how an obstacle might be overcome. In the context of visual cues, the design consideration is especially relevant in exploration games, where players traverse the game environment to discover unknown locations, new items, narrative bits, or meet other players. Here, the challenge for designers is to establish an equilibrium between feedback clarity and subtleness. If a cue is too subtle, players might not register the provided hint. If a cue is too overt, no challenge is posed, leading to a dull game experience. Following this notion, we raise the question: how can gaze cues be visualized in VR games that, on the one hand, help players to achieve their goals and, on the other hand, provide some form of challenge? To find answers to this question, we carried out a comparative study to investigate 4 different design approaches embedded in a VR exploration game called Thief Simulator. The game takes place in a medieval fantasy game world where the player's goal is to steal hidden gold coins within a predefined time limit. To steal all the gold coins, players need to search the scenery and interact with various objects. To not be completely helpless in the face of the challenge, players have a gift that allows them to guess the location of the gold coins. As soon as players look at a place where a gold coin might be hidden, they get a clue. The gaze mechanic works as follows. 3 prerequisites have to be met to trigger a gaze-based cue. First, players need to enter an interaction area where one of the gold coins is hidden. The purpose of this first step is to avoid feedback from large distances. The next requirement is that the players need to look at the gaze-sensitive area. This area is bigger than the gold coins themselves to provide some form of challenge. Third, players need to look at the gaze-sensitive area to a predefined time to increase the opacity of the visual cue. The reason for this design intervention is that players do not accidentally trigger a cue, but have to look carefully for a longer period of time. When players avert their view, the cue's opacity reverts back to its initial value. The clue mechanic was visualized via 4 different conditions that were investigated in our experimental setting. The first condition uses a particle system that starts emitting particles when players look at the gaze-sensitive area. The second condition uses purple-colored point lights that become visible when players look at a gaze-sensitive area. The third condition used semi-transparent spheres with a rim shader. In the vignette condition, objects are added atop the viewport. These cues are not part of the game world, neither on a spatial nor on a narrative layer. So after presenting you the conditions, I want to provide some information about the study results. We employed both quantitative and qualitative methods. Due to the presentation time, I will not be able to go into the details, but present some general trends that we found out. For further information, please refer to our paper. In general, players took notice of the gaze-based cues' visual qualities. In detail, they were positive about the subtle and the emphasized gaze-based feedback variants. The subtle version with the particles was often positively mentioned, as subjects had the impression that the visualization fitted well into the fantasy game setting. Besides, players immediately noticed the cues' presence and their function. For instance, participants reported that the lights cue version helped them to reach their game goals. Players made also several comments concerning the balance between subtle and overt gaze-based cues. By increasing or decreasing certain visual elements, the feedback could be easily detected and more visually appealing. Following this notion, cues in exploration games face a utility duality in grabbing the player's attention whilst motivating the players to be curious and further explore the prompted area. Accordingly, our results provide insights by suggesting disruptive and visually salient cues when are perceived to invite curiosity or exploration. In contrast, cues that are less explicit and yet disruptive show potential to potentiate curiosity but remain neutral at motivating exploration. So that's all. I hope that I could give you a good overview of the things that we did, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thank you.